Hey y'all, welcome to the Season 6 Heroic Recap. I'm not feeling well, and my voice is shot if you can't tell, so I've gotten the help of a couple friends to do the voiceover work for today's video. Thanks for watching, have a great day.
With the end of Friend or Foe Season 6 Among Us, I figured we'd do a quick walkthrough for RLS's season as a whole as an update to this video. On our first game as a team with Ruby starting in the mid lane, we were up against C9. While relatively unknown early into the season, they were the crowd favorites from the start. RLS was already 1-0 at this point in the season, and an opening week of 2-0 would see us tied with Ahntye and AWE. After a few key fights where we weren't doing so hot, even giving Jinx a quadra, we pull through with the power of friendship and this dragon we found, destroying the Nexus in a 40-minute banger. MVP went to Ruby for his first stage game of Season 6.
After a few more games played between our team, we had our first game versus Arivi's team, AWE. After a few kills passed back and forth, AWE calls for a pause. Someone's having internet issues. The pause holds for roughly 10 minutes, and most of us are not engrossed in the game past this point. Without notice from RLS, AWE starts the game up again with no ready check, gets 2 free kills on players who are not ready, and the game gets paused again. There's no written procedure for a misfired unpause, especially with 2 more deaths on our side. Between miscommunication from the players and TOs, the game is dropped and due to be rescheduled. After a lengthy chat with everyone, AWE ultimately makes a decision to forfeit the game and move on. At the end of the regular season, we ended at 10 wins and 4 losses, second overall and tied with AWE. Rather than play a tiebreaker game, we vote to FF to stay better rested for playoffs, and as a token of good faith after the regular season, quote-unquote, loss.
Our first playoff series was against Pentakill Team Out Please. Beating PTP was very important to me, Warleader, because I have multiple very good friends on this team, and I wanted to smack them in the face and show them that RLS is the team to beat in Heroic. To practice for this game, we've been doing a lot of 1v1s, and Ruby had prepared a character he'd never played before. But I'm getting ahead of myself. In Game 1, our draft was a little separated, and not that cohesive, as we had people just coming home from work at 4:15, barely enough time to make it to the game. The mid lane pool was diminished heavily for Ruby, because Orianna was disabled due to a bug, Talia was banned by the enemy team, so ultimately, Jeff God Gamer locks us in any mid, a simple, tried and true character to open the series. After a strong showing as a team, and a deathless game from Ruby, we take the W, and we're on our way to Game 2. Game 2 versus PTP is a game that holds all the momentum of the series. If PTP are able to bounce back here, it could spell disaster for RLS, as Uncle Mo joins their side of the bench. But this is where we got to break out the not-so-secret tech of the Vern. Ivern is a supportive mid-lane character that isn't played a lot due to how supportive it is as a pick. It's not very similar to other mid-lane picks. Utilizing the item Moonstone Renewer, which is very cheap and easy to spike on, it allows Ivern's team to stay in extended fights and pump out additional healing and shielding, which allows our strong members to stay alive as the fight goes on. Ultimately, because of this pick, we come out of the second game 2-0 with a strong mental and are 1 game away from semifinals. Game 3 versus PTP, however, is where we fuck around and find out. That winning is actually very easy despite having a Darius running it down in the jungle when all 3 of your lanes crush and we have a severe mental gap. We weren't able to get Josh Aurelia, but we were able to pilot a blind draft by our coach and ultimately joke around, 100% the game, have a lot of fun, and we're on to AWE.
Art of War have become a bit of a rival for RLS over the seasons, especially this one, with their revolving door of in-and-out players and us having a thoroughly used sub-list. We've been quite similarly ranked throughout the season. As things worked out, we wanted to start Cavalry mid in the mid lane. She's a big assassin player. Guilty plays mages. We wanted to use that to try and counter, but plans immediately went awry when we locked Azir first. After some tragedy in the solo lanes and our scaling comp gradually crumbling, AWE took a dominant first win with a final score of 10-26 at the 29-minute mark. Game 2 begins, and we once again let through the combination of the Ornn Renata, and Kaori gets a shot at her Vex, which is one of her most practiced picks as a way to win. 15 minutes into the game, though, plans are starting to fall through once again. RLS finds themselves at a 4.5k gold deficit. not exactly where you want to find yourself. The game goes on, despair gets bigger and bigger. RLS loses the second game of the series with a score of 2-0 against AWE. We really didn't have much to show for Game 3 either. Our mental had been drained. It was 2 exhausting lost games. We tried to put pieces back together, locking in Kaori Zed and Lushinami in the bot lane. The comp looked very strong and winnable, but the game, though staying more competitive for longer, RLS was unable to seal out what looked like an even more promising game. With an inhib falling, we still weren't able to hold the game together, and with a crushing defeat, AWE took the final series 3-0. This, however, is not the last that you're going to see for Ruby's League server, but it does wrap up our recap for Season 6. GG's to everyone. We'll see you next season. We're coming in strong.
We pull through with the power of friendship and his... After a few key fights where we weren't doing so hot...